Hi, Petia. Welcome to the Revitalized Womanhood Podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. Oh my gosh, you look beautiful. Are you from, you said Europe, are you from Portugal?
No,
Spain.
thank you. No, I live there, but thank you. I'm from Czech Republic.
Oh, you know what is so funny? I didn't want to make assumptions, but you do sound like my cousin. She is from the Czech Republic as well, and I can hear it, and you do sound similar to that, but I didn't want to assume. But you just mentioned Europe, and you have this gorgeous, gorgeous Spanish, Portuguese skin and look to you. So
It's so funny because my husband, when he was manifesting his dream girl, back when, he said he wants a European and the Latina, and something like I'm like, listen, I'm more Latina than many Latinas here in the United States because I lived in Spain and it felt really like home for me. I lived there for 4 years and I feel like the Spanish people, they are so proud. They're so proud of their origin, of their food, of everything. And the experience that I have, and listen, it's not everywhere and everyone, I don't want to be generalizing, but moving from Spain to United States, I see that a lot of Latinos here are feeling less than. A lot of Latinos, they're feeling like they cannot really express themselves. And I'm like, the one who is from Czech Republic, but listens to Latin music, dances Latin music, like the loud one here, and I'm like, you just gotta bring that aliveness into other people's lives. So even though I was not born in Latin countries, I just love it. And I somehow feel like it's in my blood. So
yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that, I look like.
Which is amazing. That's actually really interesting because that is I'm not saying that the Czech people aren't that way as well, but I'm saying that is not the common vibe there.
Oh,
That
no.
is-
No.
that
Have
is
you been
very
there?
much. Yeah. Oh, yeah. A few times. We
My-
actually stayed with this really sweet man and woman because they had their home, of course, back when it was, so they had their home. It was 3 levels. And so the government, whoever officials they put in their home to live with them, had a space away from them, separate from them. And we said, are you happy that it's no longer that way? And they said, no, we liked it that way. They actually liked living that way. They liked being told what to do. They liked they said there was no thought in it. We were just told what to do.
And you see, that's why I never felt home in Czech Republic. I moved when I was 20 and there was this feeling of this can't be it. This can't be it. I don't like to be told what to do. Ask my husband. Yes. Even if it's a very loving invitation that it's for my own good, I'm such a stubborn and I need time because if you try to tell me you gotta go and do this, I'm like, it's put the water on a fire, will resist,
Right.
And so I remember back when I used to live in Spain, I brought back then, my ex-boyfriend with me to, meet my family, see my country where I'm coming from. And we were walking in, and I lived in beautiful city. I am from South Moravia. It's so gorgeous. We have parks everywhere, trees everywhere, rivers everywhere. It's so gorgeous and rich in nature. And we were walking in this beautiful, it's a new city, And he's like, Petia, are you sure you're from here? You're the only one smiling. These people look pissed. They look upset. They look like you don't belong there. I was like, you see? I never felt home there. I never felt like belong. There are some people that I know, they immigrated and left the country and they're like, I can't wait to get older, make more money and go back home. It was never my home to go back to.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. So I know I'm different.
I get that. Well, we visited Prague multiple times, and I don't necessarily want to go back there. It's getting to be too touristy, but that is one of our favorite zoos, absolutely one of our most favorite zoos. But we discovered Český Krumlov, and it was like my heart. I was like, I could totally live here. This is so amazing. This is wonderful. But I wanted to talk about, so we're off topic. We're just on our own adventure here. But this all comes back to your beautiful mission in life, and that is to help people create more abundance in their lives. And that is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about you did not feel at home in your skin in your own country. And when you found it in Spain, which I 100% agree with you about them and how proud they are in their traditions. We went to Seville and we watched a bullfight. We were
I
there
lived
for a
there for a
bullfight.
year. I lived
Isn't
in
it? Oh, it's so
Seville.
beautiful. So beautiful. And we were there for a bullfight and it was incredible. And now whatever your opinions are about the bullfights, whatever. Okay, we're not going into that. But I will tell you that this arena sat more than 10,000 people and they were dressed to the nines, beautifully dressed, right? For this tradition of this long, long tradition of what this event was. And the matadors, they all did the exact same thing. Yes, they each had their own flair to it, but they did the same thing. So that means tradition. That means they are following in a traditional pattern to keep respect for the sport, right? And it was shocking to me that the entire arena would hush itself, silent. Can you imagine being in Vegas and anybody hushing anybody else in an arena? Oh, forget about it. You couldn't get 10 people to be quiet in Las Vegas, okay, right? This whole entire arena was silent. They would shush each other and they were silent. And you could hear the matador saying, toro, toro, and I was like, this is tradition and it runs deep. And these people respect this. So I love that you made that distinction in that. And so when you're saying the Latinas that are living in America, I can totally understand how they are feeling, because if you go to a Latin country or if you go to these other countries where they are at home and comfortable and with their people and with their food and all of their culture and their traditions, they are not quiet. They are boisterous. They are confident. They are living in abundance, right? So you can tell in the demeanor of people. So what is it that made you, you've got your podcast, Unapologetically Abundant. You've got, this is the mission in your coaching. What made you decide that this was a message that you wanted to spread?
I love this question. And, for me, Gina, I feel like I became the one that I needed. I really became the one that I needed because I kept looking left and right and I was outsourcing my happiness and my worthiness. And the way I grew up, it was in scarcity. And we got to distinguish scarcity and poverty. I didn't grow up in poverty. We had a beautiful house. We had a car. We were traveling since I was 13, and this is like, 30 years ago. So that was a big deal to be traveling abroad and to the ocean. And we have 2 nice vacations and things like that. So I didn't grow up in poverty, but yes, in scarcity. There was always people comparing themselves with others. There was always this feeling like not enough. I'm not enough. My mom, bless her heart, love her to life. She was always dieting. She was always people pleasing. She never showed me a healthy example of womanhood. She got pregnant by accident. She was dating my biological father for 2 years. They were together intimately for the first time. Here she is pregnant, when she's 17. So I feel like her life wasn't as she planned, and she never had the regrets. When she found out she's pregnant, she wanted me. But I created stories in my mind that I shouldn't be here, that I'm an accident, something that I had to work through. Never something she did. I'm taking full responsibility. But when I grew up this way, I always felt there's something wrong with me, that I shouldn't be here. And I was looking at people around me. My stepfather, who was always like more and more and more, like more money and bigger car and impress the people and bigger parties. And he was acquiring money not in a good way. So here I am looking at the angel of my grandma that I loved to life. She transitioned a couple of years ago, but she never had money. She never missed money because she managed the very little she had very greatly. She was the good person who never had any overflow. And here is my stepfather, who is a mean person, literally mean person. He was abusive mentally, physically, emotionally on everybody around him, but his friends, he was the god. So I see this, and it just let me create beliefs that having overflow will mean that you will become a mean person, that you will take advantage of other people. So I unknowingly, subconsciously created the life that, even though when I made money, because I was the one who was like overworking. That's what I saw in my mom. Always people pleasing, always working, never just laying down and resting and relaxing. So I just took all of this scarcity, never enough time, never enough skinny, never enough pretty, never enough money, never like, and that's the scarcity I used to live in. And that led me into self-destruction, really. Like I, experienced bulimia for 2 decades, and now that I'm a mother and I have a little daughter, I'm like, God, please guide her so she never goes the path that I want. Disrespect and not valuing my health, not valuing my body. I don't even know how I survived that period. Like now that I know what I know about bodies and health, I'm like, our bodies are miracles, because I don't even know how my body could survive all of that abuse, So growing up in that, I knew that something has to change. And that something had to be me. So I started work on my spiritual and personal development. And that took me a decade. Now I'm on completely different journey that started unfolding just a couple months ago. When I decided I want to create my relationship with God, because what I have done up until now just, I don't want to say didn't work, but no matter how much I have created overflow and how much abundance I have created, there was still like peace in my heart that it didn't feel satisfied and fulfilled. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
And I knew that there is something more, and the more it's not acquiring more and proving myself more, but grounding myself really in all truth and the spirituality. And I was fighting it for 2 years like the bolt in the arena. After my miscarriage a couple of years ago, my husband turned to God. He said, like, I need help. I cannot do this alone. And he turned to God and he became Christian. His parents were, but he never wanted to do anything with God. And those 2 years, I was fighting and questioning everything. The Bible, it's silly and people wrote it and it's not true. And listen, anything, any reason you can find, I gave it to him. And last year, when I had another miscarriage after having a beautiful, healthy, literally God-given daughter, I'm like, I get to change something. And I went even deeper. So I feel like the abundance that I have created in my life, and I'm so grateful, like, for my husband, who is such a good and just devoted man and husband and father, and my daughter and my life and my clients. And I feel like I was just being called forth by God to go even deeper. Because I know I was playing it small, even though I created this beautiful life, there was still like piece of my heart that is like, but you can help more people, but you can go deeper. And I, oh my goodness, Gina, I needed it this morning when I saw your stories, and I texted my assistant. I'm like, we gotta create something similar. I resonate so deeply, giving the credit to the creator, of course. But when you post that on your stories, the phrase that it's posted in Bible 365 times, don't be afraid.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
I'm like, wow, it is just so empowering. And like when I saw it, my heart needed to hear it. So thank you so very much, because you never know when you are called forth to share something, like who is going to see it and who needs it and who will be inspired by it. So I feel like I'm stepping into abundance in completely new level, and it's deeper and it's scary.
It is scary. And that's why I love what she's talking about. It says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid 365 times. And I love that you actually said playing it small, because you haven't been playing it small in anything. You have been giving and taking the beauty that is life, right? You have been living it to the fullest and taking what you felt, like you said earlier, you felt You felt at home in a different place than where you were raised, and you made that happen. So you weren't playing it small. But so often, and we're talking to women here, this is Revitalized Womanhood, we're talking to women, so often they play it small. And I don't care if you are a CEO, I don't care if you are, because what is success actually defined as for you? Like if you are this fabulous CEO and you're making so many figures and blah, 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 is that your definition of success? I love the quote, and it will stay with me forever, forever, forever. When I was first married to my husband 18 years ago, he was listening to Tony Robbins a lot. And he said, you can only be successful in life if all areas of life are successful. All areas of your life are successful. You cannot be successful if you are only successful in business. You cannot be successful if you are only successful in your marriage. You have to combine it. And like you're saying, you are missing that piece. And that is so for the most successful people that I follow and look to, the mentors, one of the pillars is faith, is spirituality, is absolutely understanding that I don't know if you want to necessarily, okay, call it God, but the universe, there is a higher power. There is something, an energy that you have to give space for, right? So I want you to, in this is perfect segue for this, one of your podcasts, and I was listening to it back when we were scheduled to record before, and I loved it. Let's talk about the original, the OG of abundance versus lack in the Garden of Eden. Is that not the beginning of time, abundance versus lack? It's like the most perfect analogy, and I loved it so much.
Thank you so much, Gina.
That.
First of all, thank you so much for preparing yourself so well to meet someone and have them on your show. It's like you're wonderful.
Oh, I am so curious. This is like my favorite thing. My husband and I talk about this all the time. It's like if we make no money doing this, we are richer because of the people that we get to meet.
Oh, I love this. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I see the same way. So thank you for listening. And you know, when I learned about this, I was like completely mind blown. So I'm so happy we're bringing it here for your audience, because when we look back, and again, like I used to be resisting Bible, God, everything, right? So please just open your heart, open your mind, whatever you choose to in this stage of life to believe in. Just listen with an open heart. And I know if you're a part of Gina's podcast, that's who you are. You want to be growing and you want to be expanding and you want to be learning new things. So when I learned about this, it was so like expansive for me, because back, when we are going to complete origin in the Garden of Eden, when you think about garden, what is garden? Garden, it's a protected space, right? It's something that it's going to be protected. There was going to be some fence or something that it's going to protect that space. So garden, it's protected space. Eden in translation means pleasure. So Garden of Eden is a space of pleasure. And when Adam and Eve were created, God told them, eat from every tree, enjoy this animal, take care of this place, eat every single thing but one tree. Just one tree. Please leave that one tree for me. Everything else, enjoy in richness and abundance. And I'm having chills as I'm saying this. So when you think about
Me too.
When we were created, we were created and called into protected space of pleasure and prosperity. That's who we were created to be. So when you're hearing these things like, oh, we're all inherently like worthy and we're meant to be abundant, this is why. This was the beginning until we chose to focus on luck. The first temptation ever was luck. We could have everything. We could have anything. All the trees, playing with all of the animals, enjoy ourselves. Like, you don't have to pay any bills. You don't have to go to work. You don't have to wake up to alarm. You didn't have to fight any enemies. You were in a protected, pleasurable place, just like you and your mate. You know what I mean? It's like, let's have fun and play and make laugh all day. Like, I would love that, right?
Yeah.
But they chose to focus on the lack. They chose to focus on the one thing they could not have. And they started to feel like all of this is not enough. We get to go and try this one thing. They listened to the snake, to the evil, who twisted the words of God. So it wasn't even that he told them something like completely different. He just twisted the words of God. Like, are you sure? Are you sure this is what he said? And so Eve was tempted. And she ate from the forbidden tree. She ate the apple, gave it to Adam because, when good men are with the wife, they listen.
The
Tell my
temptress.
husband.
Naughty temptress.
Yep, don't tell my husband. But, like good husbands will be like, okay, but let me have a bite too. Right? And we lost it. We lost the protection. We lost the pleasure. We lost the prosperity. Not forever, because the God that I choose to believe, it's very loving Father. It's merciful Father. And it might be because I had daddy issues my whole life. My biological father was bad. My stepfather was bad. So maybe that's why I was refusing God, because I'm like, well, all men are bad. Then my husband proved me wrong. I see what a wonderful father he is. But that's how I lived for 40 years. So it was challenging for me to even imagine. And especially, like, I have clients who are coming from very strict religions. Like, they're coming from like Amish, or they're coming from the Catholic side, and it's black and white, and it's very strict. And I choose to believe in God who is good. I choose to believe in God who is merciful. Like, he could kill us right there and then, and he didn't. He could be like, oh, let's wipe these two humans off. I'll just mold some different ones. But he didn't. He just had us, go and experience the world so we can see the contrast. And sometimes this is what we need, like looking back in the Bible, right? Like, sometimes we have to see the contrast so we see how good we had it. Like how repentful has to be Eva or had to be Adam, right? That they did eat and they didn't appreciate what they had, but how could they know how good they have it until they lose it? And listen, with this, I don't want you to hear like you have to lose everything to know what you have. We're smarter than this. That's why we're listening Gina's podcast. That's why we have an open hearts and open minds, and we look around and we appreciate now. We give grace to God now, right? So it's when you can, like, and this is something that I started to do. Like I said, I'm very new. It's like people are laughing, but I say I'm like very virgin to God and Jesus. I'm like so new to all of this. And I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm letting it to expand my heart and expand to others. Because if you would tell me this example from Bible like a year ago, I would be so resistant. I would find like why it's not true, why it's not good. But because I open my heart and I say, show me what I'm not seeing. Help me grow. Like, I humbled myself. I don't know it all. I don't want to know it all. Like, how boring that would be. Right. This is what I really feel like. Sometimes we get to experience the contrast. It doesn't have to be big like this to be outcasts, right? But Gina, I know that you and me, like, there were times in our lives that we felt like that. We felt like outcasts. We felt like different. We felt like the world doesn't understand us. We felt like we had to fight. But like, can we come back? Can we come back to that inherent truth? That we are meant to be abundant, that we are meant to be rich? And it's so funny because I know that a lot of Christians and a lot of people who believe in God, they're afraid to have money. They're afraid because they heard the old phrase, like the money is root of all evil. It's not. Twist it again. Evil twists the words of God. The God says, the love of money is root of all evil. When you treasure anything else more than life itself, God itself, life itself, right? Like God is life itself. So if you treasure anything more than life itself, then you're never going to be successful and abundant and overflowing. Yes, you can accumulate properties. Yes, you can accumulate money. Yes, you can have. I remember, Gina, when I started my business 7 years ago, 8 years ago now. Man, it flies. 8 years ago. I was making like $1,500, working very hard. And I was dreaming about making like $3,000 because I'm like, that would be an overflow. I would pay off my huge debt of $2,000, right? And I just felt like that would be such a huge accomplishment. And then I went 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 30, 40. And it never felt enough because once you achieve that, then you want more.
Yeah.
So it's, where are you giving your power? Who are you giving your power? Who are you listening? That's why I love that you share that, from the Bible. Like, don't be afraid. Who are you listening? Bible itself is teaching about richness and abundance and sharing with others and generosity and love and kindness. Like, that's a true richness because God says, put me first and I will give you everything else. Like,
Yeah.
I take care of the birds. I take care of the lilies in a field. Aren't you more than them? Like, he created you to his image. You're the creator. The challenge is, and again, I'm sharing my heart and how I see it now. I didn't see it like this a couple of years ago. But how I see it now is sometimes, and this is what I experienced in New Age, and that's why I felt that there was a piece in my heart that was always missing. I thought I'm the creator, so I have to create it all. I thought I have to do it alone. So it's not what do we do, but why do we do it, right? And I was doing it because I was thinking, I'm the only one who can do this. I'm the creator. I'm the manifester. I have to create my dreams. So I have to journal and I have to manifest. Nothing wrong with that. Do your vision board. Do your meditations. Do your manifestations. But you got to know who is the creator, and it's not you. You were created to God's image. So you're a creator like him. But you are not the creator, the one. Like, there is something that had to create us. And the Big Bang Theory, like, how can you create anything out of chaos? It's like if you go to your garden, to your garage, put a bomb there, everything explodes there, and now you are expecting that from that explosion you will have brand new car, beautiful brand new car.
Yeah.
Right? So I know it's a lot, but I know it's a lot. Trust me. And it is also very life-giving because
It's a lot because it's abundance.
But you see, it's a lot, but it feels good. It's not a lot like something is missing and I need to fill the gap. Everything is already filled for me. Everything is already, planted for me. I get to show up and I get to harvest.
Yeah. Thank you for your testimony. That's so beautiful. I want to go back to where you said, I've got a few things in here. Holy cow. But first, the most recent thing you said is that we are not the creator, right? We're not the creator, but we are. I was thinking the same thing. We are created in his image, so we are creators. And how many of us keep that hidden inside because of the things that the serpent has told us, because of the twisting of the words, because of all of the negativity and the lack that we keep in our souls, in our hearts, in our minds, all of this lack, that this beautiful gift that he's given us to share with the world at specific times, it needs to be shared. So I put that out here as an example of the women I bring onto my podcast episodes is I just need you to tell your story. I need you to share your story. If you look back at a lot of my guests, yes, I have very successful in business guests. I do. That's not why I brought them onto the podcast. I have one of my first guests that I wanted to record with was my mother and my husband's mother, my mother-in-law. They both have beautiful, very different, unique stories to tell because they were put on this earth to live a specific way and tell their story that way, to share it in this time, right? And who it affects when they share that story I don't know, but it needs to get to them somehow. So if people are not willing to talk about these things, if they feel shame or guilt or lack, if they just constantly see the world through these eyes of, I'm not good enough, what do I have to share? Then who are they not helping? You know? So I love that you said that, because we all have that in us and it needs to be shared. I didn't know what postpartum depression was. I thought it was you wanted to kill yourself or you wanted to kill your kid. That was the very minimal definition of what I thought that was, until I heard someone share on a podcast what their experience was years ago. Years ago. And here I was 4 years ago experiencing it with my third baby. I'd never felt it before. I had no idea. And I could identify it because she shared that story. She was willing to share a part of her, and it helped me. It helped me immensely, and I am a better person for it. And that takes me to the next thing, is the emotional resilience. What can I learn from this? We have both been to a place of lack and scarcity, and we both hit these moments where we went, this isn't what I want to do anymore. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be more than this. So how are you building your emotional resilience? How are you doing that, you know? So this is very theoretical conversation. I haven't even directed any questions to you because this is such a beautiful theoretical. I knew this conversation would be this way. It's so great. But what is it that your mission you hope for in your podcast, in your community, through your clients and your community? What's the big picture? What do you hope that your legacy leaves on all of those who come in contact with you?
This is such a huge question, Gina.
It's huge.
It is really huge. And honestly, I'm really feeling that I'm reinventing myself right now, because how I used to do things and how I used to do my business, I want to go deeper. I want to really empower women to live a richer life. And because when I created my business, I had social media marketing agency, then I was a life coach, then I was a mindset coach, then I was a business coach, and a million other titles like transformational coach, right? Like we're always thinking that we need a title to like explain ourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like our energy, it's always louder, because usually when women hire me, they heard me on a podcast or they saw my reels or something and they connected with my energy. Like 9 out of 10 of my clients never looked at my website. They resonated with my story and with my energy. So my deep desire is for women to create more richness in their life. And now what is deeper about it is that I want to be supporting women to build that strong foundation. The foundation in faith. And again, I told you, I'm virgin. I'm starting with this. I want women to come with me on this journey, because just think about it. If you would come to the beginning of the journey with Steve Jobs or Tony Robbins or Oprah, right? And I'm not saying that I am like this huge visionary who will end up as Oprah and Tony Robbins, I'm just saying, like, I'm inviting people, women, to come with me on this journey of discovering deeper. I want more women, and I feel like you and me, we really resonate on this so deeply, to share their stories.
Mm-hmm.
I want women to be unapologetic about who they are and where they come from. So many women, they're feeling in a shame and guilt because they're like, but what did I did in the past? Or what did I do in my business? Or what did I didn't do? And things like that. Instead of fully embracing their God-given gifts and knowing what it is and monetize it. Like, enough of like, it's so beautiful that you're like, well, you haven't let it small. Like, I know, like, it depends of the perspective, right? Like, I left my company.
Yeah, the definition.
Yeah, like I have built, my podcast, it's top 2% show globally. I have built multiple 6-figure business. I'm living in a gorgeous home with a healthy marriage and a beautiful baby girl. Like, I am so happy, right? Like, I'm so fulfilled. And I know that I have been playing it small because I haven't put it all out there, in a sense, not that I didn't share my story or anything, but as I'm expanding, as I'm growing, there's more. There's more that I can do. There's more women that I can help. And I have such a heart for mothers. And they're like, I told my husband, I want to create a nonprofit then because I did scholarships in the past and things like that. And I want to help more women. I want to help more women so they never feel stuck. They never feel like they have to be in relationships when they don't want to be there. They never need to be in a job if they don't want to be there. You know how heartbreaking it is for me to think that, like, when women think that they have to leave their babies and go to work, it's so terrible. Like, I remember, like, I was just recently postpartum, and I saw reels on Instagram where a girl who had a 6-week-old baby had to go back to work and she was crying. I was crying so bad. It was so, I just could not. And this is a
Yeah, it's
freaking daily
traumatizing.
reality
Yep.
for the babies, for the mothers. Why don't we build a businesses? Because these mothers, they're working their booty off for $2, $3, maybe $4,000 a month. Like, show me a mother who is making $4,000 a month in
Yeah.
a job. Like, not many of them, unless, like you say, they're in a higher position. But a lot of women are like leaving their babies for $2,000 a month, and then they
For basically the amount of daycare. Honestly, my husband and I talked about it, do I need to go back to work? And he's like, what's the point? You're just going to be making enough money that you're paying for the person to watch our kids.
Yeah, exactly. So why not working
But it's a
from
reality
home?
for so many people.
And that's what I want to awaken women into. Like, I'm not saying every single person it's built for business. I'm not saying it. Having business, it's not easy. It's not this flowy, like, let me wake up to 10K every morning, right? Like, some people are showing it on Instagram.
We know that's not what it looks like.
No, and listen, you can create richness by being yourself and by, monetizing your gifts. It does take a time and it does take a work, and it's possible. And listen, I'm a mother and I work a couple days a week. I don't work more than 10 hours a week. I'm not like, could I? Yeah, but I'm not going to sacrifice my time with little one. She's going to be this little for a very, very short period of time. She's 18 months now, and I feel like I popped her out a couple weeks ago. It's just like it goes tremendously quick. So I want to empower women to create the richness of their life. And it's funny, when you were talking about the success, Gina, I have actually last year created a program, 6 months program called Soulful Success. Soulful mean that you get to be rich in all of the areas of your life. Most of the women in the group I'm support, and it's very small, intimate group. It's like inner circle, but the most of the women, like all of the women there are mothers. I didn't plan for it. It just happened. Most of the women have businesses. One of them doesn't have a business. But they all are experiencing more richness in their life, like manifesting their dream homes, moving from Canada to Mexico and living in, buying condo and living in their dream like place. Some of them, they, shifted their businesses and have their highest months ever. So I feel like business can be such a powerful vehicle. It truly can when we let it. And even if you choose not to do business, there's still ways how you can be unapologetic and how can you negotiate higher wages and more time or working from home. It's like knowing your worth and knowing your boundaries. It is so powerful.
Right. Well, and we were talking about, you were saying beautifully earlier that God created everything else. So what am I left to do? What am I allowed to still do just for me? I don't need to worry about all these other things. And so there is so much, it sounds counterintuitive, but I've found so much abundance in less, in the scarcity almost, so much abundance in slowing down, doing less, because you're focusing your intentions in the things that do matter more to you. Right. And I think in that, like you're saying, if you want to manifest, if you want to journal, if you want to, those are all good things because they're helping you tap into that little person inside of you that you shut down so often, right? That you've quieted, that we don't listen to anymore. She's in there somewhere, but we don't know. But that's how you get back to her. That's how you figure these things out, is slowing down and doing these things. So it's not in doing those things that you're going to be successful in business. I'm not going to have a successful business because I journal. I'm going to have a successful business because I journaled, so I got to know who is inside here, who is the real Gina. And I figured out that if I allow the real Gina to speak, then I will attract the people that I want to attract, right? So I love that you said that God will take care of all the rest. He's already done the rest. You just need to focus on this, whatever your little circle is. And I think that's incredible. I know you're getting ready for a hard stop here. So what is the last thing that we can hear? You've shared so many beautiful things. I don't even know if you have anything else in there. Let me squeeze one more drop of goodness out of you.
You're amazing. And listen, there's always more, right? There's always more. And what I would love people to invite is to pause. And you kind of said it, like, I don't think that it's, when you're simplifying that scarcity, I really feel like simplifying is the true richness of life because you're looking at what truly matters to you. So you get to pause and reflect on your life. You do have to connect with a higher power. I call it God because one of my mentors said, and please just take it with open heart. But when my mentor said it, I laughed because my past version of me, that would be like a slap in the face. When people are calling God, the universe, the source, the higher power, right? It's like calling Elon Musk Tesla. And I was laughing so hard because I'm like, if I would heard this last year, it would be like such a big slap in my face because that's exactly me. I wouldn't say the word God because I wasn't comfortable with it, right? You get to connect. The spiritual foundation is everything. If you knew in your heart, if you know in your heart that something bigger created you, give thanks to that bigger power. You get to.
That's beautiful.
Start with that. Start in the morning. Start with a prayer. Start with a gratitude. And you will see that your day will unfold completely differently because you will be more at peace. You will not try to frantically get up, get your phone, run with your kids. Even if you give yourself 5 seconds. Sometimes with the little ones, we literally have 5 seconds, right? Before they start screaming. So put your hands on your heart. Give a gratitude and know that the day it's already prepared for you. You just got to show up.
I love it. You just got to show up for yourself and for everybody you love. Thank you so much. It was so amazing finally connecting with you. I'm so glad we made this happen. Thank you for your time and your testimony. And that was beautiful. And we will put in the show notes where everybody can come find you and hear more of your goodness. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Gina. I love this. I love what you created. Such a beautiful, empowering space. And I'm so honored I could be here. Thank you.
Thank you.